Okay, thank you. Yes, and recording. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so I prepared a slideshow with pictures and to see with you. Okay, I'm sorry it's all in Hebrew, but I will explain everything. Um, the Temple Mount is in our hands, but can we visit him? Here in the picture you see it's 1967, 6 Days War. You can see Rabbi Shlomo Goren, who was the rabbi, the chief rabbi of the IDF, and the chief rabbi, after that, the chief rabbi of Israel, with the Sefer Torah, is blowing the shofar. And when they are walking, he's walking with his soldiers on the Temple Mount. Of course, when they were fighting the Arabs there, of course, they entered every place on the mount. But a day later, after we took this place, Rabbi Shlomo Goren asked himself, first of all, and then he wrote it in an article, the question whether we can go to the mountain. Can we visit the place? Because we know there is a holiness in this place. And can we, as impure people, can visit the place, yes or no? So let's try to understand what's the problem, where can we go or where can't we go? And let's start with what the chief rabbinate said. The chief rabbinate said, even when Rabbi Shlomo Goren was the chief rabbi of Israel, the council of the chief rabbinate decided that we cannot go to the mountain. You can see here the sign that you can, from today, you can see it in Shar Mugrabim, the gate of the Mugrabim. This is the main gate where the Jews are coming to the mountain. And there you see this sign, announcement and warning, according to Torah law, entering the Temple Mount area is strictly forbidden for all people due to the holiness of the site. And who is signing on this sign? The chief rabbinate of Israel. According to the chief rabbinate, until today, we cannot go to the Temple Mount because it's holy. And that's why you will not see rabbis from the council of the chief rabbinate there. You will not see many rabbis and many religious people there. You will not see, and it's not relevant only to the religious Zionism or the Haredim. There are Haredim who are not going to the mountain, as well as religious Zionist people who do not go to the mountain because they are afraid because of the holiness of the place. On the other hand, you will see religious people and Haredi people going to the mountain because they think that we can go there to special places on the mountain, and we will explain it. So what's the problem of going to the Temple Mount? The problem is that we have a mitzvah. Mitzvah Taseh 31 in the Torah, according to Maimonides, is that shetzivanu leshaleach hatmeim min hamikdash. Impure people cannot go to the temple because the temple is holy, and we have to send all the impure people from the temple. Okay, and this is a mitzvah from the Torah. According to that, as we said, the chief rabbinate had decided that we are all impure. We don't have para aduma, the red cow. We don't have this, so that's why we impure, so we cannot go to the mountain. But is it the only opinion in the Torah, in halacha? Let's start our journey with a disagreement between Rambam and Ravid. Rambam was Maimonides. He lived in the 12th century. Ravid, Rabbi Avraham ben David, lived in the same generation, and he wrote comments on his Mishneh Torah, Rambam Mishneh Torah, the halachic book. So Rambam said that, wherever we had the Mishkan, which was built before the Mikdash, before the temple, the Mishkan, as you know, moved from different places. It was built in the desert, and then he moved with the people of Israel in their journeys in the desert. Then they came into Eretz Israel. At the beginning, the Mishkan was in Gilgal. Then he moved to Shiloh. Then he moved to Nob. He was at least in 5 places before Solomon the king built the temple. So if we have the mitzvah to send impure people from the Mishkan, from the temple, wherever it is. So, of course, when the Mishkan is there, I have to send the people away from the Mishkan. Impure people cannot come in. But what happened after the Mishkan was destroyed or was moved to a different place? For example, the Mishkan was standing in Shiloh for centuries. It was there, I think, more than 300 years. It was there in Shiloh. Today, Shiloh is destroyed. Shiloh is destroyed. There is nothing there in Shiloh. We can go visit there to see the places where the Mishkan was standing. But can we go and visit this place after the Mishkan was moved? The answer is yes. Why? Because if the Mishkan is not there, there is no Kedusha there. So even though we are impure, we can go to this place. We can go today visit all the places where the Mishkan was standing in the desert, in the Sinai desert. We can go to Mount Sinai, although it was holy then. So if the place is destroyed, impure people can go and visit there. So that's why we go to Shiloh, to Gilgal, to Nov, to every place that the Mishkan was there. What about Jerusalem? Here we have a disagreement between Rambam Maimonides and Ravid. Rambam said, since Solomon the king built the temple there in the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, the place of the Temple Mount became holy. This is Kedusha Rishona. The first holiness of the Temple Mount is still there for generations. Solomon the king, Kidesh, he made it holy for his generation and for the next generation, for all the future. And that's why, even today, when you go there to the Temple Mount, even though there is no temple there, it's still holy. And it still has the mitzvah of that impure people cannot come in to visit the place, cannot go there. And we have a mitzvah to send the people away from there. I think the sign that we saw of the chief rabbinate, I think that in this sign, they think that they observe, they fulfill the mitzvah, because they say we send people away. We tell people that they cannot go to the mountain. That's Rambam's opinion. But according to Ravid, a comment of Ravid, he says here in Hebrew that he doesn't understand where Rambam gets this halacha from. He says it is his own opinion. Lo yadati me'ain lo. I don't know where did he take it from. And he said we found in a few places in the Mishnah that if the temple or the Mikdash is destroyed, there is no holiness there. And that's why Ravad say, the last words of Ravad, lefichach, and that's why, hanichnas ata sham ein bo karet. If you go there, even though you are impure man, there you are not punished on that. So according to Ravid, of course, today there is no problem to visit the Temple Mount, to go wherever we want to go, because there is no temple there. And the Kedusha dwells there only with the temple. Without the temple, there is no Kedusha, we can go there. But the chief rabbinate and many rabbis adopted Rambam's opinion. They rely on Rambam and say we are afraid that Rambam there are not only Rambam, there were many other rabbis who said like Rambam, and that's why they said according to these rabbis there is still Kedusha there, and that's why we cannot go to the mountain. But it's very important to know that there are different other opinions like Ravid, but the main opinion belongs to Rambam and his friends and other rabbis who said that there are still holiness there. But still, let's say that there is a Kedusha there in the Temple Mount. who cannot come in? We know that there are various tumot, different types of impurity. Which impurity doesn't let you go there to the Temple Mount? For example, we know that there are people who are impure. They are Mitzoraim, who have how do you call it, leprosy. They are leper people. Um, this is Tzarat, Johnny.
Yes,
Johnny.
yes, yes. It's what we call.
Yes.
It's not quite, but yes, it's leprosy.
Leprosy. So they are leper people.
Lepers, yeah, lepers.
Lepers. Okay. So lepers, for example, lepers. This is the highest level of impurity. So lepers, we cannot let them go into the Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem. They cannot go cross the walls of Jerusalem. The lepers, according to the Mishnah, we have 10 levels of impurity and 10 levels of kedusha. So let's see. The Masechet Kelim says there are 10 levels of kedusha. First of all, Eretz Israel there is more holiness in Eretz Israel than the other places in the world, the other lands in the world. And in the Eretz Israel, we have another level of kedusha, and this kedusha belongs to the Ayarot Mukafot Choma, the cities who are surrounded with walls, like we have in Purim, that they read the Megillah in the 15th of Adar and not in the 14th. So these cities are more holy than the other cities. And how do I see it that these cities are more holy? That lepers cannot live there. I have to send them away from these cities. The next level of Kedusha is Lifnim min hachuma. It means Jerusalem itself, within the walls that we have there. Okay, Jerusalem is surrounded with walls. So there, inside there, it's a higher place. It's a higher. There is a higher kedusha there, and that's why we can eat there different types of korbanot. We can eat their maaser sheni, etc. And then the Mishnah says in the fourth line here, Har Habayit mekudash mimenu. The Temple Mount is more holy than the city of Jerusalem. And how do I know it? Because there, en zavim vezavot nidot v'yoldot nichnasim lesham. Zav is kind of an illness of a man. I don't know how to say it in English, but it's kind of illness of a man. Zavot nidot, a woman which is nida, she sees blood, and yoldot, they cannot go to the Temple Mount. Okay? Zavim vezavot nidot v'yoldot. This kind of impurity, people with this impurity cannot go to the Temple Mount. But then there is another place with another level of holiness. Hacheil Sorag. Hacheil Sorag is kind of a barrier. It's kind of mechitza that was there in the Temple Mount. It's another level of kedusha. Mekudash mimenu. All the area inside the chayil, inside these four barriers, is a higher place with kedusha, and in this place, ein ovdei kochavim utme met nichnasim lesham. To this place, Gentiles cannot go there. From here, I learn that Gentiles cannot go to the Temple Mount according to the halacha, but they cannot go in. They cannot cross the barrier in the Temple Mount. And who also cannot go in there? Tmemet, the one who touched the dead person, who was there in the same tent, the same place with a dead person. The one who is impure, he cannot go there. So we know from this Mishnah that we today, we are impure because we are dead impure. We touched we were in the cemetery. We are in this impurity, tmemet, That's why where we cannot go not to the Temple Mount, we can go to the Temple Mount, but we cannot cross the barrier, the place where the Soreg, the Chayil was there, we cannot cross this line. But to the Temple Mount, we can go. So where was this place? Where was this line of the barrier of the Soreg? Let's see, I brought you here a picture of the temple. You see here the temple, he was there. This is the Temple Mount, the whole area of the Temple Mount. Just to know the directions, here is the western wall of the Temple Mount. Where is the western wall that we pray today? Here. It's only very, very little piece of this wall. This is the western wall of today. So this is west, this is north, this is east, and this is south. Okay? So the temple was here. The temple was here. This is the area of the Temple Mount. To this place, as we said, impure people like us today, that we are impure of death, we touch dead people, we can go to this area. Which line we cannot cross? The barrier, the Soreg. Where it is? Number 9. 9, you see, the barrier. So we cannot cross this line. This was the barrier. Okay? Here inside, there was the Azara. The Azara is this, the whole building, 7 and 3. 7 is what we call Ezrat Nashim. There is no connection to the Ezrat Nashim in Shul. It wasn't belong only to the women, but all the people of Israel came to this place. This is Ezrat Nashim. Here we have, you see here, I have this map here. This is Ezrat Nashim. We have 15 stairs to go into the area of the temple itself. Here we have 3, and 3 here we have the outside altar where we sacrificed all the sacrifices. And then we have the temple himself. We have the ulam. Here we have inside the heichal, which is called the holy. And the holiest place on earth is the Holy of Holiness. This is Kodesh HaKodeshim 1. So it was here, this is the Holy of Holiness. This is Heichal, here Ulam, here is the altar, Ezrat Nashim, and here is the barrier, and this is the area of the Temple Mount. So for us, as people who are impure, we can go to the area of the Temple Mount, we cannot cross the line of the barrier. Here you see another scripture of the temple. You see here Ezrat Nashim. Here is the altar where we sacrificed all the sacrifices. Here we have the temple himself. Something very important that we need to know, that the temple himself was the highest. It was the highest. If you look at the topography of the Temple Mount, it was the highest spot in the Temple Mount. How do I know it? Here you see the people who crossed the Soreg, who crossed the Chayil, the barrier, who crossed here the barrier, they had to step up on stairs to go to the area of the Azara, and then they came in to Ezrat Nashim. There they had another 15 stairs, which took them to Ezrat Israel, and there they had here 3 steps, 3 stairs or steps, what did they say? 3 madrigot.
Steps or stairs will do.
Okay, stairs. 3 stairs.
Steps is probably better.
Okay, steps. They had 3 steps to the area of the temple, and then here they had another 12 steps to the temple himself. So the temple himself was the highest place in the Temple Mount. It's very important. We will talk about it in a few moments. Here, if you want to know, here on these 3 steps, the Kohanim were standing here, and they were blessing the people of Israel with Birkat Kohanim. So this is the place. So as we see, we as impure people can go to the Temple Mount. We just cannot cross the barrier. So what's the problem? Why, according to the chief rabbinate, we cannot go to the Temple Mount? And now we see the problem. The Temple Mount of the Second Temple era was not like the Temple Mount today. The Temple Mount in the Second Temple era, how big was it? So according to the Mishnah, Har Habayit haya 500 ama al 500 ama. The area of the Temple Mount in the Second Temple era was 500 amma length on 500 amma width. How much is amma? Amma each is approximately half meter. So it means 500 amma, 500 amma, it's approximately 250 meters. This is according to the Mishnah. The length and the width of Har Habayit in the Second Temple era was 250 meters on 250 meters. The Mishnah says something else, that the temple was not standing in the center of the area. If you look at the picture here, the temple is not in the middle. It's closer to the north line and to the west line. So it wasn't in the middle, it was there close to the west and to the north. How much? We don't really know, but we know that there was space between the northern wall of the Temple Mount, and there was a space between the western wall of the Temple Mount. There was space here, but we don't know exactly how much, but we know that it was close to the north and to the west. That's what we know from the Mishnah. By the way, that's why if you go to Mini Israel, I don't know if you visited there, but if you go to the Mini Israel, you see the temple, the structure is like that. And you see here that it's not according to the halacha, because here you see the temple is in the middle of the Temple Mount, while it should be closer to the west and to the north. Okay, this is aside from the east. Aside from the east. But according to the Mishnah, it wasn't exactly in the middle. Okay, that's what we learned from the Mishnah. But what about the Temple Mount today? You see here the Temple Mount today. Here is the western wall where we are praying. Here, the Mugrabi gate. This is the gate where we are going in, the Jews, when we are going here into the area of the Temple Mount. You see here Al-Aqsa Mosque. Okay, this is the main mosque of the Arabs in Jerusalem, and they pray there. This is in the south of the Temple Mount. Here are the Solomon's tables, Uvot Shlomo, they have another mosque there. This is the east side, this is the north, and this is the west. You see that what we have, the western wall today, is only very little part of the all western wall of the Temple Mount. In the center, not in the center, quite in the center, but we have, of course, the dome of the rock, Kippat HaZahav or Kippat HaSela. You see here that the dome of the rock for the Muslim is not a mosque. The mosque is Al-Aqsa. And that's why when they pray there on the Temple Mount, they pray and they stand there with their backs to the dome of the rock. They stand in front, and the faces are towards Mecca, to the south, to Al-Aqsa and to Mecca. And that's why they stand here with the backs to the Dome of the Rock. A Dome of the Rock is just a building, it's not a mosque. What are the sizes of the Temple Mount today? How big is it? So according to Wikipedia, according to what we know today, the Temple Mount is like that. The western wall I just want to remind you, according to the Mishnah, when the second temple was there, it was 250 meters on 250 meters. Today, the western wall is 478 meters. And the southern wall is 277. The eastern wall, 452, and the northern wall is 305 meters. It means that today Har Habayit, the Temple Mount, is twice, twice than the Temple Mount in the Second Temple era. And that's why if you see the picture here today, it's like 500 meters here, 500 meters here, 277 meters here, and 250 something meters here. It's twice bigger than the Temple Mount in the days of the Second Temple era. Who made it bigger? Who built it? Horus. Horus, the king, in the first century before the counting, BC, he built the Temple Mount, made it much bigger, and because the temple was greater than, etc. Now we have the problem. We have the problem because now we have two pictures. We have two pictures. Here in the left, I have the picture of the Temple Mount today. Here in the right, I have the Temple Mount of Second Temple era. And we know that there, in the Second Temple, we could go into the Temple Mount, just not to cross the barrier here. But we have a problem today because how do I locate the area of the Second Temple in the Temple Mount today? Where was it standing? Was it standing in the north side of the Temple Mount? Was it standing in the middle of the Temple Mount? Was it standing in the south side of the Temple Mount? I don't know where to locate this 250 meters on 250 meters from the Second Temple era. And that's why I have a doubt. So according to the chief rabbinate, although we cannot go to the Temple Mount, I don't know where the temple was exactly standing, because it can be in the whole area here. And that's why wherever we go on the Temple Mount today, and we are impure, we don't have the red cow to purify ourselves. That's why I have a doubt whether every place that I go, maybe there, the barrier was there. And if I cross that line, so it's an avera, and this I can be punished with karet. And that's why, according to the chief rabbinate, they say we don't know this headache, we don't know this problem. That's why do not go to the Temple Mount. We don't know exactly where the Temple Mount of the Second Temple era, where was it exactly, and that's why we don't know where exactly the temple was located on the Temple Mount. That's according to the chief rabbinate. But there are many, many, many rabbis and researchers, professors, archaeologists, who tried to, who had a research on this question. Where was the temple where was it placed on the Temple Mount of today? Where was it? And these researchers, they decided that the temple was standing where the dome of the rock is standing today. It means that the temple was here, where you see with my arrow, you see the temple was here. How do they know it? How do they know it? The answer is because of something that there is inside the dome of the rock. There is a rock there. What is the rock there inside the dome of the rock? So here is Kippat Sela, which is called Kippat Zahav as well. As I said, it's not a mosque, it's just a building. We have stairs here to go into it. It's in a higher place. And when you go inside, there is a rock inside. That's why it's called Dome of the Rock. You see here the rock? This is the rock. And we have here a kind of a charitz, something, a lower place. They were digging there in the rock here. Its length is 10 meters. Here we have again 10 meters, and this is the rock. The Arabs, they call it al-Tsakhra. Even Hashtia al-Tsakhra, that's how they call this rock. We have a tradition in Masechet Yoma that in the second temple there was no Aron Kodesh, there was no Aron Abrit. In the second temple there was no Aron because the king Yoshiyahu hid it before the first temple was destroyed, and we didn't find it since then. So there was no Aron there in the second temple. So what did they have there? The Mishnah says that they had Mishenital Aharon Even Aita Sham. There was stone, a rock in the Kodesh HaKodeshim, that there the Kohen, the high priest, he put the Ktoret in on Yom Kippur. This is our tradition regarding the Kodesh HaKodeshim. And according to the Mishnah, this rock was taller than the land, Gvoha min haaretz shalosh etzbaot. It was its height was 3 fingers. Side of 3 fingers, it was higher than the land and the whole area around that. Researchers came and said, okay, if we see that there is a rock here in the middle of the center of the Dome of the Rock, maybe this is the rock of the Kodesh HaKodeshim. Maybe this is the rock which we call Even Hashtiya. What is Even Hashtiya? It's not drinking. Shtiya is drinking. It's not Shtiya drinking. Shtiya, it's the base of the world. Hamakom shemimenu mushtat ha'olam. According to our tradition, when God created the world, He created first of all the rock, and from this rock He created the whole world. Like we said, the whole world is standing on this very ancient rock. And this is the rock where is the Kodesh HaKodeshim is placed. According to the researchers, they suggested that this rock of the Dome of the Rock is the place of Kodesh HaKodeshim. This is the rock of the second temple where there is no Aron. He put the Ktoret, the Kohen HaGadol put the Ktoret there. How did they know it? They give 2 evidences. One evidence is that, as we saw, if you remember, we saw that in the temple there were stairs every place. We said when you go to the temple, you have to step on stairs to go into Ezrat Nashim. And there you have another stairs to Ezrat Israel. And there you had another stairs to Ezrat Kohanim, another stairs to the temple. So we know that the temple himself was the highest spot on the Temple Mount. If you go today to the Temple Mount, so you see, and again, that the rock in the center of the Dome of the Rock is the highest spot on the Temple Mount. Here we have the stairs again. So it seems that if this is the highest place, it should be the place of Kodesh HaKodeshim. More than that, as I said, somebody dig in this rock, and the length here of the digging is 10 meters, and the width is 10 meters. If we go to the Mishnah and we read, we see how big was Kodesh HaKodeshim. What was its length and width? We see that the length of Kodesh HaKodeshim was 20 amot. 20 amot is 10 meters. The width was 20 amot, 10 meters. According to the researchers, and we can see it today, this rock was Kodesh HaKodeshim because here in this digging, they put the walls of Kodesh HaKodeshim exactly in the same length of the Kodesh HaKodeshim, 10 meters. And that's what they said. This rock is place of Kodesh HaKodeshim. Another evidence that we can give to this theory that this was the place of Kodesh HaKodeshim, that if we look at the eastern wall, as you remember, as I said before, originally the Temple Mount was 250 meters and 250 meters. But Horus, the king, he built it and made it much wider. If you look at the wall in the eastern side of the Temple Mount, you can see that there is different stones in the north and in the south. From the they differ from the stones in the middle. That's why we can imagine, we can try to, we can say that originally the Temple Mount was here. And these stones are originally the stones of the Temple Mount of the Second Temple era. Horus, he added this area in the north, the area in the south, and we can see it in the different stones that he built in the walls. And if the original Temple Mount was here in the middle, so it means that the temple was here where is the dome of the mosque, the dome of the rock. This is the place of the Temple Mount. The rabbi who said it, he was maybe the first to say it, was Radbaz. Radbaz, he was a rabbi from the 16th century. He lived in Egypt and then he moved to Tzfat, but all his life, most of his life, he lived in Egypt. He writes in one of his responsa, he writes about the place of the temple. And he says, Ki hadavar barur, it's very clear for me. Shetachat hakippah, under the dome of the rock, Sham Even HaShtiyah. This is the place of Even HaShtiyah of Kodesh HaKodeshim. Bli safek, there is no doubt about it. And this place is called Al-Tzachra in Arab. And then he writes about it, and he said, and then he gives us a story about it. It's very important. It's very interesting. He says that Od Amru Ha'akum, I heard from all the Gentiles who came from there, that underneath this rock, there is a me'ara, there is a tunnel, there is something underneath that the kings wanted to know what there is inside. And every person who went down to this tunnel, to this place, died. Nobody came back alive from this tunnel. And he said, why? How is that? And Radbaz says, maybe this is the place where Yoshiyahu the king hid the Aron HaKodesh. And that's why God doesn't want that we will discover it. God doesn't want that the Gentiles will take it. And that's why every person who goes into this tunnel, who goes into this place and comes close to the Aron HaKodesh, dies. And that's what gives us, it strengthens the theory that this is the place of the Kodesh HaKodeshim, because this is the place where Yoshiyahu the king hid the Aron HaKodesh. We have this tunnel, this place, even today. You can see pictures on the internet, on the web. You can find it on Wikipedia. There is picture of this place. Of course, today we cannot go there because the Arabs, they don't let us go there. But there is such a place. If our people, researchers, could go there and dig there, maybe they could find the Aron HaKodesh, maybe other things from the temple. Another thing, another evidence that the Radbaz gives us is that the kings there, the Arab kings in Israel, in Jerusalem, they wanted to dig in this stone to see, to find where it starts from, how deep it goes to the soil, to the land. And he says, according to Radbaz, that these Gentiles, they said that they tried to dig there to see how deep is it, and they didn't find the place it starts. And Radbaz said, okay, I learned from here that this stone has no beginning, and it's so deep, it goes to the center of earth. So it means that this is the Even Ashtiyah, this is the stone, the rock, where God created the world from. Even Ashtiyah. This was another evidence, and that's why he says, or the Baz says, according to these evidences, the temple was standing where the dome of the rock is, and that's why we cannot go to the Temple Mount. Let's now go back to the map of the Temple Mount. Okay, let's try go, sorry, where is it? Here. If the temple was here in the dome of the rock, here was the Kodesh HaKodeshim, here was the Ol Azarot. So where was the barrier, which is the line we cannot cross today? Here. Imagine it was here. If it was here, so of course we cannot go to the Temple Mount, to these areas, here in the south, here in the east, little bit in the north, and here in the west. If we go in from the Mugrabi gate, we make around here, and that's the places we can go. Of course, only if we know that the temple was standing here. This is the line of the barrier. That's what Ribaz said. He wrote in the 16th century. But there are Poskei Halacha, there are rabbis today, like Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. Rabbi Ovadia Yosef wrote a responsa, and he's talking, look about he gave the answer, look at the date. Gimel Sivan Tafshin Kaf Zayin. It means the 3rd of Sivan, 1967. It was only 5 days after Kafchet Iyar, where we took Jerusalem and the Temple Mount. So 5 days later, he writes a responsa about whether we can go to the Temple Mount. Can we walk there? And his answer is no. Why? Because he said, yes, we have the responsa of Radbaz, but there are different other opinions. There are other opinions, and we cannot really know where exactly was the temple, and that's why he was afraid. He said, I don't want this punishment of an impure man who is going to the Temple Mount can be punished in Karet. God can kill him. So I'm very afraid, and that's why Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, I don't want you to go to the temple because I still don't exactly know where the temple was standing. More than that, he said, there are many, many people who do not listen to us. And if now we tell people that they can't go to the Temple Mount, now all the people who are impure will go there. It will become, it's not a tourism site, but people from Israel, from all over Israel, we come and walk there. They will not listen to us, that there is a line that they cannot cross. They will go, they will walk there wherever they want, and this is a problem. And if we have a mitzvah to send away the impure people, I don't want to get this headache, and I don't want to go there, so I just tell the people that they cannot go to the Temple Mount. And that's how he finishes his responsa. All the rabbis had decided together, to warn people not to go to enter the area of the Temple Mount. Till when? Until the Messiah will come. The Messiah will come, we will become pure people, and when we are pure, we can go into the area of the Temple Mount. But that's what it was his opinion. But Rabbi Goren, who was the chief rabbi, the Ashkenazic chief rabbi in the days of Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, Rabbi Goren, Rabbi Rabinovich, my Rav, there are many, many other rabbis who say, no, if we know we can rely on this opinion that the temple was standing there in the place of the rock, and that's why we can go to the Temple Mount. Not nevertheless, no, not only that we cannot go there, there are rabbis who say we must go there. And why is that? On it was in 1994, I think, after Heskemei Oslo agreements with Rabin. Um, Rabbi Goren saw that Rabin was prime minister there then. He wanted to give back the Temple Mount to the Arabs. Not only Rabin wanted to do it, but also Ehud Barak, when he was a prime minister, I think in White Plantation agreements, he wanted to give back the Temple Mount. And then rabbis came to Rabin and they said to him, how can you give it back? How can you give it back? It's the holiest place for us. And then there was an officer, the Mafkal of the Mishtara, the chief commander of the police. He said to them, what do you want? If you say that Jews cannot go there, if you don't want to go to the temple, so why do we need it? Give it back to the Muslims. Give it back to the Arabs. If you don't want to go there, so why do we keep it? Why do we need this? Why do we need to put police officers there? Why do we need it? And from that point, my Rav, Rabbi Rabinovich, changed his mind. For many, many years, he said that we cannot go to the Temple Mount. From that very moment, he changed his mind and he said, if they think that because we do not go there, it's not ours, we must go there. Because today, as you saw, we don't go there because it's a holy place for us. It doesn't mean that we don't want this place, but in their eyes, in the eyes of the Muslims, of the Arabs, of the secular people in Israel, if we don't go there, it means that we don't want this place. If we don't want this place, so give it back to the Muslims. From that point, Rabinovich, my Rav, changed his mind and said, we not only can go there, we must go there. And that's why we had a tradition in our yeshiva that in every Aseret Yemei Tshuva, every year, in the 10 days of repentance, we went to the Temple Mount and we visited them and we walked there just to show them that we want this place. Rabbi Goren wrote in a letter to Rabin. He said that the people of Israel, it's a very important letter. Maybe I have it here. Sorry, maybe I open it. Maybe I will share it with you because it's very important. Did I bring it? No, I didn't bring this. No, I didn't bring this letter. Sorry, I didn't bring it. But Rav Goren wrote a letter to Rabin, and he said there, Rav Goren, that for many, many centuries, many rabbis went to the Temple Mount to pray there. We know that Maimonides himself, who wrote the halacha that we cannot go to the holy place where we are impure, he himself wrote in one of his letters that when he came to Eretz Israel, he went to pray in the Temple Mount. He himself went there. Radbaz said that there are many, many people who go there to pray there. So we have a tradition that many, many people went to the Temple Mount to pray there. So why cannot we do it? And then Rav Goren writes that the whole thing that we pray in the Western Wall, he said it's a new thing. It's only in the last 300 years we started praying there. For us, for centuries, the holy place was the Temple Mount himself, not the Western Wall. The Western Wall, what is it? Is nothing. That's what he said. Look, if we go back to the map, to the picture of the Temple Mount, what is Western Wall? If we know the Temple Mount is here, what is Western Wall? There is no holiness there. There is no holiness of the temple in this wall. It's just a wall of the western side of the Temple Mount. That's it. It's a little piece what we have today. Not more than that. There is no Kedusha there. The Kedusha that dwells there, it's because this is a synagogue. It's a shul. Because we set it as a shul. We go to pray there. There are Sifrei Torah there. So the holiness there is holiness of shul, like our shul in Poleg. It's the same. There is no special thing in the Western Wall. If you want holiness, the Shekhinah, it's here on the Temple Mount. By the way, I don't know if you took this trip to the Kotel tunnels. Here you see the Western Wall. Here we have the Kotel tunnels. We can go there, and there is a place which is called HaKotel HaKatan, the Little Kotel. The Little Kotel, it's the place in the Western Wall which is the closest to the rock, in the dome of the rock, which means that this is the closest place to the Kodesh HaKodeshim. And here in this place, the Little Kotel, there are women who go there every day to say Tehillim. There are people who are going to pray there. If you go in the tunnels of the Kotel, you can go there. But here, this Western Wall, it's far from the Dome of the Rock. So it's a place where there is a synagogue, but no more than that. And that's why Rav Goren said, we see in history that when people wanted holiness, when they wanted to visit the place of the temple, they went up to the mountain. They went to the Temple Mount. So how can you give it back, he said to Rabbi. And that's why Rav Goren said, I have maps and I can show you exactly where we can go. And according to these rabbis, to these researchers, to this expertise, we can go there. Where? And that's the trek I did when I went to the Temple Mount. Here you see the picture here. You see the Western Wall is here. You see, this is the Western Wall, the left side. You see the arrow? This is the left side. This is the Western Wall. Here we have the Mugrabi entrance, the Mugrabi gate to the Temple Mount. If you go to the Kotel today, you see the bridge, which takes the Jews, only the Jews. The Arabs, they come in from different gates. We come in from this gate. We go there from the Mugrabi bridge to the Mugrabi gate. And if we go there in this trek, we can go around the place where the temple was. Here, the light here, where around the Dome of the Rock, it's the place of the temple. If the temple, the Holy of Holiness, Ken Kodesh HaKodeshim was here, so the temple was here. Ezrat Nashim was here in blue. So all the Azarot, all the area of the temple was in blue. The barrier was in the orange line here around that. You see the orange? This was the barrier. So it means that all area around the orange light here, we can walk on the Temple Mount. We cannot cross this line, but we can go here in this trek. So when we went to the Temple Mount, this is the trek we did. We took this trek here in the south, in the white line. South, went to the east, went close to the wall, the east wall of the Temple Mount, went here, went to the north, to the west, and we went out. And just standing there on the Temple Mount to see the place where the Mikdash was, it's something that it elevates you. It elevates you spiritually, because you stand in the place where the temple was. You know, we are crying today for the temple, for the destruction, and now we can go and stand there. It was very exciting moment for me to stand there and to see the place. But we have still a problem. Even though you want to go up to go into the area of the Temple Mount, how we do it? Because there is a holiness there in the Temple Mount, according to Rambam. Even though we go here, we have to purify ourselves from the tum'ot that we have. Of course, from tumat met, we cannot purify ourselves. That's why we cannot cross the line of the barrier. But we have tuma of Baal Keri. Baal Keri, if we, I don't know how to say it in English, tumat bal keri, it's a kind of impure of men, of
It's,
men.
it's an impure emission, basically an ejaculation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the words I didn't understand. So this is the impurity that we should purify ourselves from. That's why if you go to the mountain, you have to purify yourself. You have to go to the mikveh. You know, usually, men, we go to the mikveh before Yom Kippur, but it's not a real tevilah. Here we have to make a tevilah to tovel in the mikveh, exactly like women that purify themselves from tumat nida. So if you go, you have to go to a mikveh, to clean yourself, to see that you don't have a chatzitza on your body, to like a woman, and you bless on this tevilah exactly like a woman, and then you can go up to the mountain. More than that, there is a halacha that when you go to the Temple Mount, you cannot wear shoes, leather shoes. You cannot, you have to go there and give respect the place. So you cannot make joke from this place. You cannot run on the mountain. You have to think that you go in the place of God. And that's why there are many, many laws that you have to keep when you go up there. So we did it. We went to the mikveh in the 4 o'clock in the morning. We went to the mikveh, and then we took buses to Jerusalem, and we went to the mountain. We didn't wear shoes. We took only shoes like Tisha B'Av, and we walked there. We wore Shabbat clothing, white shirts, and we walked there. And yes, it's very in. You have to walk this seriously. You have to walk in, not to make laugh, not to make jokes there. You have to think that you are in the place, standing there in the place of God. But we wanted to pray there. We wanted to pray there, to pray in this place. But you cannot do it. The Waqf, the Muslims, they do not let us go there and pray. When you go to the mountain today, there is a police officer, a Jew, is walking with you, and 2 people of the Waqf, they are walking with you, and they are looking at your lips, at your face, to see whether you say something, whether you pray. If they see that you pray, that you say something from the Holy Scriptures, they see it, they send you away from expel you from the mountain. They don't let you go there. Because for the Muslims, they don't want the Jews will pray on the mountain. And I remember we felt so humiliated that these 2 people from the Waqf going with us, and they do not let us pray. That's why we cannot take Sidurim with us. We couldn't take Tehillim with us. We couldn't say anything. Just historical information. That's what they let us say. But to pray, they didn't let us. We felt so humiliated that we said, it's in our hands. Is it in our hands? Yes, we can go there. But they don't let us pray or do whatever we want to do there. More than that, for the Muslims, you see here Al-Aqsa is in the south. They pray here. From them, the holy place, Al-Aqsa, it's the 3rd place, the 3rd holy place for Muslims in the world. The first place is Mecca. This is where they have the stone there, the black stone there in Mecca. The Aliyah LaRegel, it's to Mecca. They go there to pray there. The 2nd place for them is Medina. And the 3rd place is Al-Aqsa. Al-Aqsa is in the south. They pray in Al-Aqsa. So even if we tell them, you know what, you can still have Al-Aqsa and pray in Al-Aqsa, but we want our temple where? In the dome of the rock. It shouldn't interrupt you. We will pray here, you pray in Al-Aqsa. They do not let us. The Muslims do not let us because for them, one of the interpretations to Al-Aqsa, they said that Al-Aqsa is not only the mosque here, but Al-Aqsa is all the area of the Temple Mount, and it's all Jerusalem. So for them, the mosque is spread on all over the area here. And that's why they said to us, for us Muslims, a Jew cannot pray his prayer in a mosque. That's what they said to us. And if the whole area of the Temple Mount is Al-Aqsa, is a mosque, you cannot pray here, and that's why they do not let us pray. Just remember, I want you to remember, we read in the halacha that in our temple, Gentiles, non-Jews, could come and go into the Temple Mount. And according to Solomon the king, they could pray there. They couldn't cross the barrier like us today, but they could stand there in the Temple Mount and pray there. So even when the temple will be built and we will have the whole area of the Temple Mount, Arabs will be able to go there and pray. Maybe we can give them Al-Aqsa. They can keep Al-Aqsa there. It will stand side to side to the temple. We have no problem with that. We let them pray in the Temple Mount area, but they do not let us pray there. And it was humiliating to walk there, and they look at your lips and do not let you say anything. So what we did, we tried to, our guider, he guided us and he explained, gave us the whole historical information about this place. And when he talked and gave us the information, he started reciting chapters from Tehillim. So the Waqf didn't understand, it's not historical information. So yes, we said something, but if you go there, you cannot pray, you cannot bring a siddur, you cannot bring anything. It's very, very sad. Today, Al-Aqsa and all the Temple Mount became a political issue. The Muslims, they do not want us there, and that's why we cannot pray there. So what we saw today, that there is a disagreement, machloket, between the rabbis. Many rabbis say that we cannot go to the Temple Mount at all, because we don't exactly know where the temple will be, where was it standing there in the days of the temple era. According to other rabbis that I rely on, we can go there. And there is a special trick that we can do around the place of the Dome of the Rock. We can go there. I feel that, like my Rav said, that it's not only that we can go there, we must go there, to show them that we do not give up on this place. It's a holy place for us too, and we want this place. And the same way we made Aliyah to Eretz Israel, we wanted to live here, although it was very hard religiously, because we have more mitzvot here, and we did it, we came here. I think we have the same challenge, the same duty to go to the Temple Mount, to be there, to say, yes, this is a holy place for us. We have a special mitzvot. Yes, we want to be there. According to the rabbis who say that we cannot go there, so what do they expect for? They pray that one day we will have the temple, but if you don't go to the mountain, what's the meaning of your prayer? Now you have the keys. Yes, we occupy this place. We have this place. We took this place. You can go there. Why don't you go there? If you want the temple that will be built, if you don't dare to go there, so how the temple will be built? And the answer for them is, like Rav Mordechai Eliyahu said, he was chief rabbi too. He said that the temple will come from heaven. The temple will be built by God. God will build the place, will build the temple. We do not have to do anything. That's what they say. That's what they believe. This is their ideology. And that's why they say we do not go to the Temple Mount. We do not want to enter this place. One day the temple will come from heaven. Needless to say that we as Zionist people, we didn't say that Eretz Israel, the state of Israel, will come from heaven, will be built by itself. And it's not a Zionist way of thinking. A Zionist way of thinking that we do not expect that God will build the state for us. Can all the rabbis in Europe who were waiting that God will build the state of Israel and will take them to Eretz Israel, many of them were killed in the Holocaust. So if there is an opportunity to go to Eretz Israel, yes, we need to go to build the state of Israel in our hands. Today, if we have the Temple Mount in our hands, yes, we should visit there. We should go. We should show the world, to the Arabs, to the Muslims, that we want this place. And to think, what do we do with this place? We cannot wait until God will build it for us, because then we will wait forever. Maybe that's what they want too, to wait forever until the Messiah is coming. But if you wait and you don't do anything by yourself, it will never reach. So you will never reach to this destination. And that's why, according to Rambam, we have a mitzvah taseh la'asot bayit LaHashem. According to Rambam, we have a mitzvah to go to this place, to see this place. And I think if we can, it's not only that we can go there, we must go there to show all the world, this is the holiest place for us. This is the place where we go. If the Shekhinah is dwelling there, according to Rambam, yes, we should come closer and closer to the Shekhinah, to the place, at least to walk there, to see the place, to know the place, to show the world that it is ours and we want this place. Thank you all for the listening. If you have any questions.
Yes, I have a question. When are we going?
Nachum,
Rav Ido.
כל הכבוד. Ezrat Hashem, we will arrange a trip to the Temple Mount. Yes.
Good.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is there
Please tell your name. Okay.
Harold?
Harold. Good to see you. I didn't see you.
Is there a connection between Kippat HaSela and the Akedah?
So I will mute you all.
I was saying that. I'm not doing it on my own. That's just, I shouldn't do it.
All. Okay. There is a tradition that the place of the rock, in the Dome of the Rock, this place was the place where the world was created from. This place was the place where Cain and Abel, they sacrificed there to God. According to our tradition, this is the place where the Akedah was. Avram took Yitzchak, Isaac to Har Moriah. This place was the Akedah. And this is, of course, the place where the first temple was standing. So this is tradition. We don't have, of course, evidences to this tradition, but according to our tradition, this is the place where all these very important events happened occurred in the history. Yes.
No. There's a period.
Okay.
Today is
Another questions?
a 25-hour fast.
No. If there are no questions, any more questions, I pass the right of speaking to Johnny Lieberman, to his shiur. We will meet you all at 7. We are in shul. You can join us in Zoom in Mincha for Tisha B'Av. So thank you all. Bezrat Hashem, next Tisha B'Av, we will not need to fast at all.
Thank you, Rav Ido.
Thank you.